In class, we discussed in Chapter 1, Section 1, keywords that can tell us what operation a question is asking us to do, whether it be addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division, and when to know what we're supposed to set the equation equal to. If it's an expression, it won't have an equal sign. If it's an equation, it will have an equal sign. So we have our operations in this column. This is another graphic organizer to get your words in some sort of order to try to remember them by and study them by. So it's a good idea to have multiple ways to look at something. So in the operations column, we have our 4 operations and then whether or not it's an equation. The different words that we're going to use are the same as the words that we talked about in class today, but now we're going to get some examples of the phrases and how you would translate them to being written from words into numbers. So here's the same table. For addition, a few less words that we're using as examples here. We had more in class, but sum plus added more than and increased by. We have an example of each one. So the sum of a number and 2. We don't know what number that is. When we don't know, when it's something that's unknown, we use a variable. So the variable here, you could make it any letter. In this case, we're going to use x. The sum of a number and 2, that's just an expression. It doesn't tell you to set it equal to anything, so you just write it as x plus 2. The difference of a number and 2, in the order that it's written, the difference of a number x and 2, x minus 2, which is the expression that we see here. Multiplication, the product of a number and 2. Again, 2 times some number. We don't know the number, so we write x. When there's no sign in between, remember that means multiplication. You can write it as 2 times x. You don't really want to use the cross symbol for multiplication anymore because we're going to be seeing x a lot more. The easiest way to write it would just be as 2x. For division, we see the quotient of a number and 2. Now this is important to get the order correct. Multiplication and addition, we're going to see the order doesn't matter. The commutative property says you could write it as 2 plus x or x plus 2. But subtraction and division, it matters what order you're writing it in. It makes a huge difference. So the quotient of a number that we don't know, x, and 2. So it's x divided by 2. And finally, we see equal to, result is, and is, we would use as our equal signs if we were being asked to write an equation. We also have our turnaround words, less than, meaning 2 less than a number. You're not going to write it as 2 minus x. 2 less than a number, less than means turn it around. The number comes first, and then you subtract the 2. So you would have the same thing here. Here we have our chart that we filled in class. Make sure that you have all of these words because they are definitely going to be coming up, especially less than, or even the word from. If I were to say you take 2 from some number, it would be x minus 2, not the other way around. If I were to say 2 minus a number, then it would remain in the order that it's written. But these words here means flip it around. Whatever's last is supposed to be written as first. So here we have some examples. They're all written as equations. Translate each of the following into an equation. Equation means equal sign, EQUA, equal sign. So I want you to pause the video here. Take a minute to write down these word phrases, and next to them, change them into equations. So pause the video. Now, since you've paused the video, you should have on your own written numerical algebraic equations next to each one of these phrases in your notes. So let's go through them together. 3 less than x, less than, that's our turnaround phrase. So instead of having the 3 come first, that means the x is going to come first. So it's going to be x minus 3, and it literally says is equal to, so set it equal to 13. Let's try the next one. The product, that keyword means multiplication, of 9 and m. So 9m is, which means equal to 45. A number, which we don't know, so that's going to be our variable, divided by 6 is 18. Now, in our last 2 examples, they gave us the variable that they wanted us to use, so you have to use that variable. But here it just says a number, so you can pick whatever letter you want. Keep in mind, let's pick something that can't be mistaken for a number, but let's say n divided by 6 is 18, so equals 18. A number plus 17 is 25. So again, a number, they don't tell us what letter to use, so let's say s plus 17 is, so equals 25. 7 times a number, they don't tell us what number, let's say 7y is 28. Number 6, a number, the variable we don't know x, divided by 7 is equals 9. A number minus 12. Minus is not a turnaround word, so it's in the order that it's written. A number y minus 12 is equals 20. The quotient of, you have to be careful about order here, the quotient of y and 3. It's in the order that it's written. Unless you see the words less than or from, it's in the order that it's written. So the quotient of y and 3. So y divided by 3 equals 25. You could also write it as y divided by 3 equals 25. 1/5 of r. Now back in middle school you may have heard of means multiply. So 1/5 of r means 1/5 times r is means equals 15. 6 less than, here we have our turnaround words again. 6 less than 2 times y. So it means that this whole piece comes first. So 2 times y means 2y. Then we're going to subtract the 6, and that is equal to 34. 5 more than n. 5 more than, so n plus 5 is equal to 9. A number increased by 3, so any number x increased by 3 is equals 19. The difference of p and 7, that means in that order, difference of p and 7 is equal to 30. 15 multiplied by k, so 15k is equals 75. The sum of 3y and 5, so the sum of 3y plus 5 is equals 47. You should be getting the hang of this pretty quickly. Once you get those keywords down, you study them, you memorize them, you become more familiar with them, it'll get easier and easier as time goes on. So let's say you're asked to write the following word phrase as an equation. So an equation, again, means it's going to have an equal sign, which we can see because we have the word is here. 3 less than. Less than are those turnaround words. Turnaround words means we're going to look at the end and see what's coming first. 3 less than. The sum. Sum means the whole thing. So it's 3 less than this whole thing. So we're going to need parentheses around whatever is on this side. So the sum of a number and 2, it's 3 less than that, and that whole thing is equal to 5. So when you see that it's 3 less than a sum or a product or a quotient, you need to have parentheses.